Hello everyone and welcome to Intothemists.com. I am the Lethe Guardian and today we're going to be digging a bit more into World vs. World and what is coming in the future. First thing I want to talk to you about today is the Season 3. Arenanet has already announced they are going to be doing a Season 3 or a third tournament. They have not gotten any details on it beyond the fact that they're looking to improve on the issues they had with the past tournaments. Now, some of the past issues they've had have been the really crappy rewards from Season 1. Random number generations really just piss off a lot of players, especially when they tried so hard and got nothing more than a couple rares, a bunch of greens, and maybe some tomes of knowledge. Which, hey, those tomes of knowledge are great and all, but that really was not worth the effort that we put into Season 1. Season 2 rewards, far better. You actually get to pick whichever item that you want. You don't have to rely on luck. And you're also going to get some really nice weapons out of it. Some ascended accessories. Those are kind of hard to get in some cases. Really, some other nice rewards. It's actually good to have. Hopefully, they'll come up with some even nicer rewards. Perhaps a finisher move. That'd be really nice to see in the future. I got more information on that later on. But also, to go along with the other issues we'd love to see resolved would be how they're scheduling each week, who they're fighting, who your world is going to fight against each week. Right now, the first season, it was a total hogwash. Servers got really imbalanced fights. The kind of round robin style they set up really was not beneficial, especially with the number of weeks they had. For example, with Tier 1, they gave Jay Corey a really easy schedule, which resulted in them getting double teamed by Blackgate and Sanctum of All right at the very beginning, which really was unfair to them, but that's just the way it was designed because of the schedule they put out. Now with Season 2, they gave it a Swiss-style tournament, which that has proven to become problematic as well, especially when it turned out with the 2 vs. 1 on Blackgate. Winning very early on in this season, it encouraged Jay Corey and Tarnished Coast to double team on Blackgate for the entire season, which didn't work out very well for either of the three servers. Yes, Jay Corey won first and Tarnished Coast in second, but it was not a lot of fun for any of the worlds involved. There was a lot of hate, a lot of drama that went around with the whole thing, and we're all happy to see the season gone. But either way, hopefully they'll come up to a modified Swiss style or perhaps something completely different entirely. We'll be hopeful. One of the things they also mentioned in the Ready Up, where they announced the Season 3, was they're going to look at reducing the overall length of the season, of the tournament. Now, personally, I would love to see them switch to a 5-week tournament. This would allow them to have tournaments more often and to have shorter tournaments more often that are more intense. During the first few weeks of each tournament, first 3 weeks, is when you're going to have the highest amount of activity, highest amount of competition, and after that it just stalls. It just goes into a lethargic, going through the motions, holding up your end to make sure that you can keep the amount of hours you need to, but you really aren't getting the most excitement in weeks 4, 5, 6, 7 until you get to 8 and 9. Those last 2 weeks are where you're scrambling for your final advantages, and that's where the game really gets decided. So if you cut it down to 5 weeks, you're going to have the intensity the entire time. So if you get a world that gets 2 wins or 2 wins, you're going to have a huge battle to try and get those 2 wins for a different world. It's going to be a very, very intense matchup, hardcore 2 vs. 1s that get split each week instead of a continuous 2 vs. 1 again and again. It's going to be a lot of inner game politics that's really going to change everything based on how the game is going to be played over a very short period of time. So I would hope they would switch to a 5-week instead of a 7-week, because a 7-week still really was too long. 9 weeks is a freaking marathon. 7 weeks is still far too long. 5 weeks would be a non-stop challenge. Now, I would definitely be in favor of that. I'd like to hear what you guys have to say about that. Would you like to see a 5-week or a 7-week tournament? Because going to an even number of weeks like 6 or 8 really would cause a lot of problems, especially if you have people end up getting with a draw. I suppose draws wouldn't be bad, but you don't necessarily want to set it up for that. Let's see. Next item on the list. Speaking of the drama on Tier 1, the 2 vs. 1s in Season 2, it really caused a lot of problems for all 3 worlds. A lot of inner server drama, a lot of guild drama, a lot of burnout from commanders. So what the tier 1 worlds have decided to do is form a unofficial tier 1 council. Basically, the server leadership from all 3 worlds are getting together from time to time to have a discussion. There is no tier 1 leader. There's no one person in charge of the whole thing. It's more or less just a get together of the server leadership to discuss the issues the worlds are having. The idea behind this is to try and make tier 1 a more enjoyable experience. A little bit less venom, a little bit less forum trolls, and a little bit more competitive, friendly gameplay. Some challenges, some good fights that you're going to be able to look forward to. When and where possible, perhaps even steering guilds that are looking to transfer to tier 1 to a server where they would be more beneficial for their time zone. So if you have a world that is lacking solid NA coverage like Jade Quarry, perhaps they would try and direct the guilds that are in an organized North American time towards Jade Quarry, but those guilds that are Southeast Asia, perhaps to Blackgate because they just lost theirs, um, or even like EU time zone for Tarnished Coast. It really that may be something you could see, but it's not necessarily an official rule that they've made. It's more or less just an advisory. So recruitments are going to be more open for the public to see in that aspect. And another interesting thing that they've talked about was setting up unofficial tournaments. Basically, instead of waiting for Arenanet to usher in their 9-week marathons, the Tier 1 worlds are interested in creating their own small tournament, say 1 week only, where they prearrange ahead of time which week they're going to duke it out. And when that tournament comes around, all 3 worlds are going to duke it out as hard as they possibly can to come up with a win. Perhaps they might just come up with just winner's pride. Just say, hey, we won the first tournament, or maybe even like a digital trophy or something along those lines. But either way, it's something for each world to rally around, because outside of the seasons, each week is just whoever feels like pushing the most during that week. So it's really up in the air at that time. So having an unorganized tournament is really a good idea, and definitely beneficial for the worlds all individually and together. So I'm hopeful that more good things will come out of this Tier 1 Council as they meet more and more. Okay, next thing on the list. And something interesting that everybody here will be excited about is developer posts. There was a developer post that was done today by Evan Lesh. He's a gameplay programmer, and this was in the SPVP forums. I'll quote for you. We absolutely want to make build templates. These are the build templates from Guild Wars 1. They could work similar to Guild Wars 1, but there are more components to a build now. Using the old string code method may prove to be unwieldy. What he's talking about for Guild Wars 1 is there was a chat code you could put into chat that would show all the skills that you're running and the traits that you're running for Guild Wars 1. Well, now in Guild Wars 2, there's other things to consider. Now you have your weapons that you can swap out. You have your sigils, your runes, your amulets, your skills, your traits. Other things that they are considering throwing into the template design is skins, dyes, your outfit, any finishers that you want to consider. The big thing is how they can actually do it, because if you're going to include all that kind of information inside a template, in a build template you can put in guild chat or in your guild chat or in map chat, that's a lot of things you're going to have to put in there, and it may not necessarily be feasible in that manner. In the meantime, I'm kind of more or less just happy if they would implement just your skills and your traits. That'd be good enough for me. But if they're going to do something, they really want to go all into it. So they're more than likely going to try and work on getting your sigils, your rune, your amulet. But here's the catch, though. This was put into the PvP forum. So more than likely, they're going to be designing this for PvP only. If they decide that they want to get it into PvE and World vs. World, which they have mentioned that that is something they are considering as part of his post, things to consider, PvP versus PvE versus World vs. World, but this would be far easier for them to implement in just PvP only, just because all the runes, all the sigils, all those things are built into the build, the build mechanism they have for PvP. So it'd be really easy for them to do it that way. The only thing you have to worry about is weapons, and they could probably find a way to make that part of the template as well. So I could see that being very easy to achieve for PvP. But when it comes to World vs. World and PvE, trying to get all your amulets, your skills, and your weapons in particular, your accessories, your equipment, your armor, all that would be far more difficult to create a template for. So I'm not entirely certain what they're going to come out with. And to be honest, since they're talking about this now, we probably won't see this for the next 6 months or longer. So darn shame, but hey, on the bright side, they are working on templates. It's something they really want to do, and they're at least talking about it with the community. So that's great news right there. Next up, server population balances. I already touched on this a little bit with the Tier 1 Council, but to go farther into it, Guild Wars 2 was released in China not long ago, and this has already affected the population for Tier 1 worlds, and I am imagining it's going to affect the lower tier worlds as well. A lot of Southeast Asia guilds and a lot of the guilds around that time zone, Oceanic included, will more than likely start to see emigration towards the China Guild Wars 2. It is the same game, but it's also a completely separate game. So you can't do a direct transfer like they can from Europe to America or America to Europe. It's a completely separate game, so you have to buy an account for Guild Wars 2 China. If I'm wrong, please somebody correct me. So basically, a lot of people are leaving the Guild Wars 2 as we know it and moving to the China Guild Wars 2. Then again, on the bright side, because of the amount of and the popularity Guild Wars 2 is having in China, it's also creating its own problems. I saw some screenshots from players in Guild Wars 2 China. The queue for Eternal Battlegrounds on some of the worlds was over 1,000. Some of the queues could not even be counted anymore because of how long they were. So don't be surprised if you start seeing some Chinese players looking to transfer towards some European or North American servers because of the large queues, especially some guilds and some alliances that are moving out of Warcraft, and they may end up deciding they want to move to North America or to Europe because of the change in the queues. So we could end up seeing a huge rebalancing of player population in the future. Then again, maybe not. I don't necessarily know how Guild Wars 2 could be re-released in China using the North American or the European servers. I don't think that the Chinese government would be allowing that to happen, considering they have a lot of controls over the games that are released in China. So any guilds that you would see coming in from China itself would more than likely be more or less the advanced programmers and hackers from China that want to get around their government's restrictions. So how many that would be, I don't know, but it is possible, especially considering the large number of queues and the length of those queues. Because with a 1,000-man queue, I could queue up for Eternal Battlegrounds and come back tomorrow, and I might be halfway through it. So that's pretty crazy, but that's still something to consider. Let's see. Next thing up on the list. Transfer costs. Arenanet did mention that they are planning on making the transfer costs return back to normal. So it'll be a little bit cheaper to get back into the Tier 1 worlds. It'll also be a little bit more expensive to get into the lower tier worlds. So transfer costs will be changing, though we don't have a date yet. So if you are looking at making a transfer, you either may want to wait or you may want to go sooner, depending on what your idea is. Anyway, enough of the server population rebalancing. Next up is the World versus World CDI, community discussion, essentially. They promised that they would be posting that in the near future. I am not entirely certain when that's going to be. They said it was supposed to be today. We'll see. Well, maybe not today. They said it was going to be this week. They said that basically last week. So we may end up having to wait around till tomorrow at like 8 p.m. or something so that they'll eventually post it. But in the meantime, I want to hear your thoughts. What do you want to see from World vs. World? A, as a game type, and B, for Season 2. They are actively working towards Season 2, so the question is, what kind of changes do you want to see before that gets around? I've got a couple of things in mind that I've picked up from the community and things of my own. So here comes the next ideas for World vs. World. All right, first up is going to be changes to the tournament style. Like the Swiss style is pretty cool, but it causes some problems. Perhaps a modified Swiss style. There was a couple of different posts in the forums that would delve into it, that would kind of randomize who you're actually going up against. So you couldn't truly predict who you were going to fight next week. So it does create a different dynamic to it, but I'm not entirely certain how well that would work anyway. Other things that came up with was more uses for your rank points. Some people that are over 1300, 1350 or something like that in ranks have maxed out every single rank line, and there's nothing that you can use your rank points for. So they'd like some new things to do. What kind of new rank lines would you like to see? Would you like to see a new rank line, say a trap mastery skill or trap mastery rank line, or would you like to see additions beyond what you've already got? Say mercenary killer is completely worthless as it is. They could improve that to make it actually worthwhile. Now, what would you like to see for that? Personally, I don't care about mercenary because it's only really in Eternal Battlegrounds, and that's not necessarily my primary area, but it is for some other players. So if you got ideas for that, cool, throw it out there. But for me, trap mastery. Trap mastery, I would love to see it say like rank 1, traps take less supply to build. So instead of taking 10 supply, it only takes 5. Great. I'm fine with that. So instead of burning 10 supply for my trap, I can put down just go through 5. Second rank for trap mastery, you're able to have 2 traps active on a map. So I can put down 2 supply traps now. Hell yeah. Way better. Big improvement for me. I am now extremely dangerous to a Zerg. That's potentially 200 supply gone from just one player. I'm absolutely happy with that. That'd be great. That'd be a huge change to the dynamic. Let's see. Another rank line, perhaps. There was Golem Mastery. I knew they were working on that months ago. I saw the screenshots of it. It never came out in the game. It was done, and it was in progress way before Season 2 was even announced. And they never brought it out. So I'm assuming that Golem Mastery is actually being shelved. It's been in progress for a long time, and I don't necessarily think they're actually going to release it, because golems are at a great place as they are. The omegas are pretty darn awesome. Alphas, they are good. They're good at for what they are. They're good at beating down doors, and you can just jump out of them when it's time to go. Not necessarily something that you can rely on like omegas, but then again, alphas will do the job just fine. Some of the things that they had for it was like if you break down a door, you get swiftness for like 20 seconds or something like that. Perhaps even faster bubble shield recharge rate or something like that. That's fine and all. If they were going to throw in Golem Mastery for a rank line, you would definitely want to see a new trap, a EMP trap, where it disables any siege that is placed on it or walks over top of it for 20 seconds. So if you get a golem that walks over an EMP trap, the golem's disabled for 20 seconds and it just has to sit there. And if they're going to do that, they'd have to make sure that they bind it to the siege instead of to the player. So if that was the case, you get an EMP trap, one person jumps out, the next person jumps in. Well, then again, if it disabled all their skills, they wouldn't have 5 skills, so you couldn't jump out of it, which I guess that works. So forget that part. Anyway, if they're going to do Golem Mastery, then they're going to need some EMP traps to disable golems. Let's see, next up. New commander tags. This is something we've been crying for a long time. I would love to see new commander tags, new shapes, new colors, perhaps even a guild commander tag. Say get a new guild feature where you can unlock it, new guild commander tag. Only people in your guild can see it. That would be great for guilds, especially the ones that love to run tagless. It'd be amazing for guild versus guild arenas. That would really improve the game greatly. Let's see. New commander tags, they have been talking about it. It's definitely something they are looking at, they want to do, but they've been looking at it for a while now and they haven't said much about it. So we may see it in the next couple months or we may not see it until Christmas. Who knows? Merry Christmas. Okay, another idea I had, which I'm really a big fan of, is a supply depot trick. The Traps and Tricks vendor only has 2 things. Currently the anti-stealth trap and the supply trap. If they throw an EMP trap, cool. That's another one. One thing I'd love to see would be a supply depot trick. Basically, the supply depot it works similar to Siege, where you have to throw it down in a place and you have to build it up. Say it takes 50 supply to build, and you can pull out 50 supply from the supply depot. So put 50 in, get 50 out. Supply depot only lasts 15, 20 minutes, and this is great for small teams. Basically, if you got yourself a 5-man, 6-man team, and you want to go flip a keep, you're going to have a hard time doing that with just 5. Maybe you build a golem and walk it to the place, or go build up a ram, run back for supply, go break in, use another ram on the inside. Kind of a pain in the butt. And really easy to get interrupted with you're just a 5-man team, even by just one person with an arrow card. That would devastate you. So, a supply depot, you place a supply depot nearby the gate of the keep that you're going for, or nearby the tower you're going to catapult, and keep it hidden. Go back, get some more supply. Now you've got the 50, 60 you've got on hand, and the 50 sitting in the supply depot, and you can go to town. Now you've got enough the amount of supply that you would have with a decent sized team. So now your small teams are far more effective than they would have been without it. And as for large Zergs using this, there's only a handful of ways you could really use this effectively for a Zerg. Having a small team go and get the supply and put a depot for you to go pick it up at some point along the way, cool, but then again, you're kind of wasting time with your other groups. They could just carry that supply themselves. So that's not necessarily the most effective method. And since it only lasts like 20 minutes, maybe 30, it's not something that you can really pre-plant ahead of time a whole lot. But hey, maybe not. Next thing you could do for it would be trying to defend a keep. Say if you got a keep that you know is going to be attacked in the future, you can go build up a supply depot for it and have it sit there in the Lord's room or something so you can build up supply really quickly. But then again, it only lasts for 30 minutes. It's not something you're going to put down in your keep, because the only way to be able to keep your supply depot around is to take supply out of it. You're going to be eating that up again and again just to try and keep it alive. So I think it would be great for small teams and really limited in usefulness to large Zergs and things like that. So I'd like to hear you guys' thoughts on that. Supply depot trap, supply depot trick. It'd be great. Maybe make it so that enemies can withdraw from it too, just to screw you over, or to make it destroyable, like any other siege. Cool. Your thoughts, please. Please post that in the comments. Next thing that came up, badges of honor. Currently, badges of honor, they have pretty decent usefulness. You can get some siege with it, but realistically, for a lot of players, you have so many badges of honor that you don't have a use for them anymore. Basically, after you've leveled up all your alts, after you've bought a crap ton of siege, you still have badges just waiting around with nothing to use them for. I would love to see an addition, which somebody brought up to me. And somebody gave me the recommendation, badges for finishers. Arenanet could make a World vs. World exclusive finisher that requires badges of honor to purchase. Now make these a temporary usage, like say 10 uses for your finisher, and it takes 50 badges to buy these 10 uses. Now you have a regular use for those badges of honor to burn them up, make it a cool looking finisher, and boom, I'm going to throw in, say, 200 or so, 500 badges of honor to get a crap ton of these finisher moves. Really nice, really enjoyable. It's a good way of getting finishers for those players that don't like to spend money on gems and don't have the gold to transfer to gems. So it's a really nice way to do it, especially for the ones that don't PvP a whole lot, don't get the Doliac, the dragon finishers, or Bunny, or whatever. I mean, I think it would be a really nice way for Arenanet to give us something to sink our badges of honor into, because I have over 3,500, and I know there's quite a few players that have a crap ton more than that. So I'd like to hear your thoughts on that. Do you have any ideas what else could be used for your badges of honor? What would you like to see come out of that? Anyway, this about wraps up what we're in this episode of Intothemists. For the next episode, I have an interview with a guild from Henjiden Ravi. Henjiden Ravi was kind of like your tier 1 original bad boy guild. They were dominating tier 1 completely until they collapsed under their own weight. When they collapsed, they fell all the way down to the bronze tier. And season 1, they pulled themselves together and they won the bronze title. They won the crown. They had the crown for the Bronze League. And season 2, they came back for the Silver League. They decided to go beyond Bronze, and they pushed into Silver just before the league started. And they busted their butt all the way up to the Silver Championships. So season 2, they earned that one as well. Now, the big question is, are they going to make a push for Gold League? They've been steadily rising again. Now the question is, are they going to go for Tier 2, or are they going to go all the way for Tier 3? That's the big question. We'll answer that in the next interview. This is the Lethe Guardian for Intothemists.com, and I'll see you on the battlefield.